Good morning, everybody. I'm excited to be able to present this webinar to our users, not only in the Middle East and Africa, which is the region I cover, but anywhere else in other regions. I hope you find today's webinar helpful and maximizing your use and investment in GeoGraphix. Today's topic is enriching the mapping capabilities of GeoGraphix. During my recent visit to clients in this region, I have noticed that G&G users are not fully aware of the entire capabilities of GeoGraphix mapping and therefore are not fully benefiting from them. So therefore, my aim today is to reintroduce this hidden potential and compel you to use the full extent of the mapping capability in GeoGraphix. To achieve that, I will demonstrate the breadth and depth of mapping capabilities in GeoGraphix, how it supports users in their daily G&G tasks, and how it works in a complex database environment. I will also cover the land management capabilities in GeoAtlas and its importance for governmental companies dealing with licensing rounds. I will also show how GeoGraphix plays an important part in integrating the G&G work with that of the engineers and how we could integrate the two teams together in a common mapping environment. A comprehensive map is the final product G&G users are expecting in order to communicate their thoughts and findings. GeoGraphix offers very powerful and robust presentation capabilities. Over the next 45 minutes, I will cover the following agenda. I will start with an overview followed by GIS mapping with its two ways of retrieving data, then explain land management and the most anticipated engineer's dashboard. I will talk briefly about Discovery 3D and finish the session with a conclusion. This is a very important slide. I would call this slide our architecture slide. It really describes what GeoGraphix Discovery is and what we envisioned when we started building it more than 10 years ago. Building advanced interpretation means little if you're building it on a poor foundation. So we have set ourselves some goals. Goal number one was to have the option of a single shared project for all disciplines. We feel like maintaining multiple projects over the same spatial area is costly, time-consuming. It makes interpretation sharing very difficult and leads to costly human errors. Goal number two was to have a common shared data environment with zero duplication of data and never an ASCII transfer within the GeoGraphix Discovery suite. Goal number three was to have a common mapping and 3D visualization throughout the suite. This is the foundation that the GeoGraphix modules all reside upon. Discovery Mapping System is the most complete mapping package there is in the oil industry. In fact, I like to talk about it, or I like to talk about GeoGraphix mapping as having a 3-in-1 package. First, it does all the conventional database mapping, including thematic mapping, bubble mapping, proportional and conditional pies that allow you to very accurately monitor your well data. We have also surface mapping processed with some very advanced gridding and contouring capabilities. It also has a built-in easily ArcGIS technology. Once we have GeoAtlas, there will be no need to purchase that extra license of easily ArcGIS desktop to build your culture files and create share files. And finally, photo montage is in GeoAtlas page view. You can insert different type of data into your map and build a very high quality map which can be saved and exported in most common format such as TIFF, EMF, CGM, and so on and so forth. Surface mapping can be done in ISOmap. It can develop detailed maps of even the most complex area using sophisticated gridding and contouring with the choice of 10 proven algorithms, either mathematical, data adaptive, or geostatistical using kriging. all that in a very user-friendly wizard interface. Now, let's talk about GIS integration into GeoAtlas. But first of all, I would like to inform the users that the latest version of GeoGraphix, which is the Discovery 2012, is compatible with ArcGIS version 10. This version will give the users more capability in importing and streaming map layers from different sources. So an upgrade to GeoGraphix Discovery 2012 is very highly recommended for those who haven't done so yet. There are two main ways of mapping in GeoAtlas using the built-in Esri, ArcGIS, and CAD technology. The first way is the direct import of Esri.lir files, popular through GeoAtlas import wizard. These motion files formats allow us to import necessary cultural data to build a project. The second main way is to connect to an external source and live stream through available satellite, topographic, geological, magnetic, or any other sort of data needed for GNG prospecting. There are many companies out there which have expert GIS mapping teams mainly dedicated to building geological maps. All the cultural files achieved through this valuable GIS work can be either exported as shapefile, then imported into GeoAtlas, or as another option, we can also live stream to existing maps using the 3 connection options through ArcGIS SDE embedded into GeoAtlas. In my next slides, I will try to briefly explain the different sorts of live listed on the left-hand side and also explain the import options. And as I've mentioned earlier, the other massive advantage of GeoAtlas is to create shape files which can then be imported into other applications. Let's start then with the web map services. This option creates a wrapper or a layer file from a WMS or web map service connection using a URL. When a layer is accessed from an Esri ArcGIS WMS server, only the portion of the layer that is within the established project or area of interest extent will appear in GeoAtlas. We can live stream to data such as satellite imagery, topographic maps, or LiDAR, which is an optical remote sensing technology. In other words, it is like browsing within Google Earth. Esri ArcGIS servers host a number of ArcGIS maps and data. Some services are free, while others are paid services. This option allows you to connect to the Esri ArcGIS server through a URL and wrap maps and data in local LIR file. On the right of my slide is what it should look like when you connect to the service provider website through Internet Explorer and you see a list of services available. And on the left-hand services available through GeoAtlas Connection Wizard. The OLEDB option allows a one-time real connection to an open database connectivity or ODBC through a data source name or DSN to query data. Once the open database connectivity is accessed, tables, commonly known as views, could be selected and a layer created from them. The layer is then loaded into GeoAtlas and we can then proceed with the layer rendering properties according to users. This option is ideal for engineers who want a real-time well-performance data monitoring. ArcSDE technology is a core component of ArcGIS for servers. It manages special data consisting of points, lines, and polygons in a relational database management system such as Oracle, MSQL, Server, Informix, and so on and so forth. and enables it to be accessed by ArcGIS clients. The data source selection dialog box allows you to select layers from the SDE database server and view them in GeoAtlas, and once the maps are accessed, they can be viewed through ArcSDE. The second option consists of a file import from different sources. The most common are easily.layer files, which are typically created and exported from our catalog. Custom rendering can normally be applied to these layer files using ArcMap, but GeoAtlas also provides a limited option for custom rendering for layers imported in that format. Certain types of rendering, such as transparency, can be added to any GIS data source, but more advanced rendering techniques, such as thematic, are only available for GIS resources with features class and attribute data associated with them. The other two options for import are CAD files and shapefiles. LandNet is one of the unlicensed components of GeoGraphix Discovery. LandNet accepts data from a variety of commercial and government sources. The application is designed to import land grid and cultural data, and also to manage cartographic data, including survey data, political boundaries, transportation, hydrography, and many other land grid and cultural features which provide a visual representation of the local and layout of an area of interest. The files can either be imported as display layer and can be saved as shapefile for display in GeoAtlas or export, or can be imported as land grid database, which can, as an example, be used to distinguish individual lease holdings in a lease map. Now, Lease Map is another component of GeoGraphix Discovery. Lease Map is the Discovery mineral interest and leasehold mapping system that enables analysis of land ownership for a geographic region. Using Lease Map, a company's land ownership position can be mapped along with those of partners and competitors. Using Lease Map, you can map land ownership positions for your company, partners, and or competitors. For example, you can quickly determine the mineral interest of a particular company, the working interest of a company on an isolated piece of land, or highlight all leases that will expire in the near future. Since this map is fully integrated with the other GeoGraphix Discovery applications, you can manage and display tracts and lease information along with wells, land grid, cultural, seismic, and contour data. In addition, all of the Discovery applications use the same database, which provides an integrated work environment for land professionals, geologists, and geophysicists. I would make a stop at the moment. I'm sure a few of you may have some questions, and I will let my colleague Scott Olfey to answer a few of your questions, and then I will resume after that with the engineering dashboard slide. Thank you, Justin.
Hi, Murad. Yes, we do have one question that came in. A gentleman asked, how can I obtain streaming imagery data to include on my map? Well, there's a couple different ways. One, many of the national repositories will provide that free as a URL. So, for instance, in the United States, it might be the United States Geological Survey. Other places in the world, it would be a national survey or geological survey that would provide that data. And you would type in the URL and visualize it directly in GeoAtlas. But also, there are subscription services available, and these are proprietary services. You do have to pay for them, but they're very reasonably priced, and they generally provide satellite imagery, global satellite imagery, oftentimes very good coverage for topo maps, and sometimes even LiDAR. So that's the different ways that you can obtain the streaming imagery. Some of the companies that do provide that would be IHS, Spatial Energy, and MapMart IntraSearch. All of them will provide global satellite imagery that you can stream into GeoAtlas. So with that, I don't have any other questions. Murad, take it away.
All right, thank you so much. All right, then, let me resume then with a slide from the engineer dashboard. So GeoGraphix 2012 introduced the GeoGraphix Engineers Dashboard, which is a plugin for Microsoft Excel, so allowing the use of powerful pivot table features to filter, process, analyze, and display data. The GeoGraphix Engineers Dashboard makes use of data imported in a spreadsheet from numerous EMP activities and sources, or uses data present in the database, such as well-based, to make pivot tables that opens in Excel. The well selection allows you to display wells in the pivot table in either of the following applications. Either in GeoAtlas, so wells will be highlighted on a map display in GeoAtlas, or in well-based, where wells are used to create and apply a filter displaying only those wells that are present in the pivot table. And finally, in Google Earth, where wells are represented with standard oil and gas symbol on a satellite map in Google Earth. The GeoGraphix Engineering Dashboard can operate on any pivot table report, provided there is sufficient data in the report to identify a particular well. Use the Map Options dialog box to specify how to map fields in the pivot table for well identification. Visual representations of data in a pivot table can be drawn on a GeoAtlas map and can be saved by creating a layer. Two types of visual representation can be used, either proportional, pies, or bubble. Calculated field can be employed in the pivot table to summarize, aggregate, or manipulate data for creation of a new zone attribute stored in Zone Manager. This is an example where we have created the bubble map of the first 2 months production data. And you can clearly see some bubble mapping in GeoAtlas in the background. There are numerous different types of data we can map, such as completion, core, cumulative production, DST, and so on and so forth. The other powerful option of the engineer's dashboard is that it's plugged to Microsoft Excel, which in turn has a powerful way to connect to different sources, as you can see in the deployed menu. I will summarize these different connections in the next couple of slides, and I will start with connection to an SQL Server table and import data into Excel as a table or pivot table report. Once the data is imported, it can be analyzed and mapped using Engineer's Dashboard as explained in my previous slide. The second option is creating a connection to a SQL Server Analysis Services cube, and in the same way import data into Excel as a table or pivot table, which can then similarly be analyzed and mapped using Engineer's Dashboard. The third option is to open or map an XML file into Excel. And the fourth option is one of the most powerful one, where you could import data from an unlisted format by using the object linking and embedding database commonly known as OLEDB. I would like to show you an example on how to retrieve data from the data connection wizard. You first choose other advanced option for creating a connection to a data source. In this example, we will select Oracle provider for OLEDB, knowing that there are many other applications which runs on Oracle database. Then after entering the connection details, select the table to connect to. The table could hold many information such as well performances. We'll then choose how to view the data from the table in Excel, save connection settings, And here we have Excel showing data from Oracle table, which can be also analyzed and mapped into engineer's dashboard. Last but not least, we can import data from an unlisted format by using the Microsoft Query Wizard and ODBC. A video demo explaining the workflow I have just reviewed is available, talking about the dashboard engineer here. So if you want to see a live demo of it, please log on into our website under the link GeoGraphix/demo. The last slide I will cover right now in mapping is the photo montage. GeoAtlas page view allow you to insert meta files such as EMF and WMF, but also objects such as text, documents, graphics, charts, tables, and so on and so forth. All these items can be moved freely in the page view and could open endless capabilities for mapping and inserting data to build high-quality maps for display and presentation, such as posters. Once the montage job is done, the map will then be saved in ultimately exported in the most common format, such as TIFF, EMF, CGM for plotting. Now that we have compiled, analyzed, and mapped all the data, we are interested through import or live stream, the capability to view the data in high quality, high resolution 3D environment was introduced a little over a year ago using Discovery. Discovery 3D is a replacement for GeoAtlas 3D. It is a 3D visualization tool using Microsoft gaming industry based on .NET and DirectX technology. It uses graphic picture units, or GPU, to display data in order to improve image rendering without affecting CPU performance. It also allows us to utilize fine interpolation routines that eliminate pixelization when zoomed in very close. As shown in the pic in my slide, the resolution can be excellent. Discovery 3D connects to Size Vision to display 2D seismic and arbitrary lines. It also connects to Wellbase to display wellbore and associated digital log curves and microseismic data. It connects also to Smart Section to display interpreted surfaces or surface grids, and to GeoAtlas to display maps and associated layers. So multiple data types can be displayed and blended together. As a conclusion, I can summarize my presentation by saying that GeoGraphix offers you a multidimensional mapping capabilities due to its embedded Esri ArcGIS technology and various way of connecting to different sources and import options to view and map your data. In the engineer's dashboard, we took the mapping capabilities even further and much higher dimension by allowing Excel plugin to retrieve data either from the project database or from other sources by using Excel connections in order to analyze and map. We have, by doing so, built a bridge between G&G teams and engineers, and then we have created a perfect environment where both teams could work together in the same platform. I wish to thank all of you for your attendance, and now I will let my colleague from Denver, Mr. Scott Olfe, who is our product manager for data management and mapping, answer to all your questions. I will also invite you to visit our website where you will find valuable information, and we will be glad to accommodate for test drive for you. Thank you. Scott, it's all yours now.
Thanks, Murad. We do have one question here. Somebody asked whether or not we could use the engineer's dashboard to link to economics packages such as ARIES. And yes, actually we can do that. ARIES, most ARIES data is in Microsoft SQL Server or is stored in an Access database. We can pretty easily link into that and then map reserves estimations using the engineer's dashboard. There are a couple restrictions. One is you have to be able to link the data in Aries or in the economics package to a well ID in GeoGraphix in order to put it on a map. And the only other restriction is you have to have ODBC. It has to be an ODBC data source. But in this case, it certainly is, and it's fairly easy to do. So I don't have another question. If there are any other questions, please type in your chat window or type in the question window, and we will get back to you with an answer in the next day. Thank you very much.